Hello my dear friends and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video we're going to be talking about John Boyega, a massive tease for the return of Hera Syndulla and more. As always my dear Megalorians, before we dive into it, please may I ask you to hit that big red subscribe button if you've not done so, and also be sure to give that bell a good old tickle to be alerted each and every time that I post new videos. So without much further ado and without any more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into it. So we're going to start with John Boyega, who says he might return to Star Wars but under one condition. Now this is really going to blow you guys away. I was so surprised when I read this and I just have to share it with you. So let's take a look at this article. John Boyega has revealed that he would be open to returning for future Star Wars movies but does have his conditions. He revealed in a recent interview that was snipped and shared on Twitter that he would consider return to Star Wars. However, he added that he would only return if Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams were involved. This is really surprising and we're going to get back to this in a minute. Let's carry on with the article. In spite of his treatment by Disney, it does sound as though he really enjoyed working with those two, and Boyega is the sort of person to tell it as it is. So before I give you my thoughts, I will show you the entire clip of his answer. This was shared on Twitter, so enjoy it.
That we help and we facilitate, so whichever way, I'm open to the conversation as long as it's Kathy and JJ and maybe someone else, if it's the team, then, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Now look, I would be so happy to see Finn in the future of Star Wars, as long as they do his character justice, make him a Force sensitive, and give his character more depth. In the Rise of Skywalker, the one thing he wanted to tell Rey is that he is Force sensitive. We saw teasers of this in all of the scenes with Jana, but J.J. Abrams never got around to developing this. And for the love of God, if he does come back, do not just have him scream Rey for 90 minutes. The man is a great actor and I really admire him for speaking out against the bigotry that he underwent at Disney. But to be honest, this interview is really surprising for many reasons. First of all, after John Boyega opened up about the race problem at Disney, it seemed as though he was done with the franchise, especially after the way his character was treated and sidelined in the last two films. The other reason why this is really surprising is his praise for Kathleen Kennedy. Now, as you guys know, in the fandom there are so many voices which condemn her, and she's often blamed as the woman who destroyed Star Wars. In this instance, John Boyega is implying positive experiences with her. In all fairness, when he came out against Disney last year, he did make it clear that J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy were both supportive. J.J. Abrams in particular defended him and stuck up for him when he shared his lived experience. And look, let's not be ambiguous here, what he underwent at Disney was absolutely disgusting. I guess the reason that this interview was trending over the last few hours is the fact that John Boyega seemed really adamant to not come back. But now he's changed his tune and says he's willing to return under the right circumstances. Very similar in a way to what Daisy Ridley said after she had originally stated she wouldn't be back to reprise her role as Rey. Now you guys know I have my grievances with the sequels, and one of my biggest frustrations is the way that they really mistreated the character of Finn. Even if you take the Force sensitive aspect away, Finn was a stormtrooper who had an awakening. He left the dogmatic First Order and crafted a personality and life of his own, fighting for justice and to restore peace alongside the Resistance. On paper, that's the most interesting concept you could have for the sequels, and yet, after The Force Awakens, he was dampened, he was ruined, and it was awful. I truly hope he comes back to Star Wars and that the project that he features in is written by people who know how to plan a Star Wars movie or know how to plan a trilogy and can do right by his character. But what do you guys think of all of this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. So now guys, we're going to move on and talk about Hera Syndulla. Star Wars is seemingly teasing her return. Let's take a look at this article. If you've ever watched Star Wars Rebels, you're probably a fan of ghost ship pilot Hera Syndulla. She's strong, no nonsense, and one of the best dang pilots in the entire galaxy. When Star Wars fans first met the Twi'lek voiced by Vanessa Marshall in Rebels, it was 5 BBY. Over the course of 4 years in the Star Wars timeline, we watched her get into her fair share of scrapes. Star Wars author Alexander Freed recently sat down with StarWars.com to discuss the novel Victory's Price, which is the follow-up to Alphabet Squadron. He specifically discussed character Irika Quell, who was believed by her squadron to be deceased. However, they came to discover that she had joined Shadowwing, the Alphabet Squadron's Imperial foil. Freed explained Syndulla's reaction to the unfortunate news, and it's perfectly in character. He said, "How do the pilots react? Not well is the easy answer. Some view it as an outrage or an insult, while others wonder if they carry some responsibility or feel the need to set things right. Only Hera has the presence of mind to view it in military terms instead of as a personal matter, though her relationship with Quell matters to her more than she's eager to admit." Freed also shared his thoughts about the novel's title and why it matters in the existing Star Wars canon. The cost of war and surviving it is as good a way as any to describe the central theme of the trilogy. In large part, it appeals to me because it's not something Star Wars often has a chance to showcase. We see a lot of war stories to be sure, but for the most part, we see the key victory that turns the tide, and then leave the aftermath to the imagination. While Alphabet Squadron has no ties to The Mandalorian and the future series of Star Wars, he was asked if he thinks that Hera is going to make her way back onto our screens. Almost definitely. I can't see how that wouldn't happen given what's in store. And of course he's talking about Filoni and Favreau's Mandoverse. While it was rumoured a while back that we would see Hera Syndulla instead of Gina Carano's Cara Dune in Rangers, the show has now been shelved, but if it comes back soon, we might see Hera at the forefront. Alternatively, we could see her in the Ahsoka Tano series or even in The Mandalorian Season 3 or Season 4. And finally guys, we're going to talk about Zack Snyder, who's reflected on his Star Wars movie that never came to fruition. Director Zack Snyder has recently spoken about the plans he once pitched to Lucasfilm for a Kurosawa-inspired Star Wars movie. Snyder, whose latest film Army of the Dead has just hit screens via Netflix, is no stranger to working on big budget productions. Rumours of Snyder's potential involvement in Star Wars had been floated as early as 2012, before Disney's takeover in October of that same year. Some of the earliest rumours stated that he would be the director for Episode 7 The Force Awakens before J.J. Abrams took charge. It's now come out that he had indeed pitched an idea to Lucasfilm for a Seven Samurai-inspired movie based on the influential Akira Kurosawa 1954 classic. Now in case you guys don't know, George Lucas was heavily inspired by that same film, as well as others by Kurosawa, so a Zack Snyder Star Wars movie might have felt very similar to A New Hope. More recently, when speaking with Josh Horowitz, Snyder offered a few more tidbits about the idea that the 11-year-old version of him would still want to make. Confirming that he did indeed pitch an idea to Lucasfilm, he also suggests that it's an idea he still wants to return to, but not in the galaxy far, far away. So it seems as though he's going to take this idea and run with it as its own standalone sci-fi or space opera movie, and it's going to have nothing to do with Star Wars. Snyder elaborated on his request for Lucasfilm to quote, "Just give me the keys and I'll take her for a spin." So I turn it over to you guys. Would you have liked to have seen a Zack Snyder Star Wars movie, or do you think it would have failed? Let me know your thoughts on this and all of today's news update in the comments down below. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and also be sure to check out my Patreon. The link is in the description, and I will see you all tomorrow. I'm Star Wars Meg, wishing you all a phenomenal rest of the day, no matter where you dwell in the galaxy. Have a good one.